Hello, Virginia. It's so nice to have you on the show today. How are you doing?
Well, thank you so much for having me.
Beautiful. And thank you so very much for being here. You see, I truly appreciate you. And you see, Virginia, oftentimes I love to thank my guest for two things. And I do this so often to the point where it has become my anthem. So, firstly, I want to say thank you so very much, Virginia, for investing in yourself. You see, you are on this platform right now because you did invest it in yourself. And oftentimes, Virginia, I love to make reference to the amazing mango tree. You see, some couple of months back, I was on a particular road, and just by the roadside, Virginia, there was this very tall, unattractive mango tree. And I use the word unattractive because the mango tree's got no mangoes on it, and the leaves were all dry. So I just walked past it and I went my way. But you see, just recently, Virginia, I was on that same road. And this time around, a lot's changed about the mango tree, you see. The mango tree caught my attention pretty good from a distance. And immediately, I got the urge to move so close to it, of which I did. And it wowed. Because now the mango tree's got a lot of mangoes on it. Beautiful green leaves and healthy branches. And not just mangoes now, Virginia. I'm talking about ripe mangoes. It was such a beautiful experience that day. I was so excited. Here is my point. The fact that you dedicated your time, energy, and resources to becoming the amazing Virginia that you are today, that alone has made it impossible for me to skip you. And that's why you got the request from me to be on the show because I was attracted to the fruit of all that you're doing, your insight, your philosophies, the impact your work is having, and how you're offering your solutions, Virginia. These stuffs are beautiful. And just before I sent you that request, I said to myself, I've got to benefit from these beautiful things Virginia is doing. And not only me now, because I don't want to be selfish, and even with the audience. And here we are today with the amazing Virginia. So thank you so very much for doing that yourself. And secondly, thank you for saying yes to the invite. Because if you had said nope, there was nothing Elisha could do about it. Thanks so much.
Absolutely. I'm happy to be here.
Beautiful. So let's get started. You see, I am quite excited to have you on the show today, Virginia, for some reasons. Firstly, my interest in knowledge seeking. I believe in order for one to transition from a terrible situation to that of a beautiful one, Virginia, I believe it takes the application of knowledge, quality information. And you see, ever since I discovered that light in the Hebrew means knowledge and darkness ignorance, I've been so keen to knowledge seeking. Why? Because I do not want to remain in the dark. So that's going to make our conversation today very important to me and even to the listeners. And the second reason why I am excited to have the amazing Virginia on the show is for the sake of the audience. You see, we live in an age where information is as abundant as grains of sand. We've got lots of information flying out there. So these folks trust me for quality, eye-opening, and very important information, of which I am totally convinced, Virginia, that our conversation is going to be insightful and impactful. So for that reason, let's get started with your introduction. Talk to us about your personal or your professional journey, because right now we are so curious. We want to know how Virginia got here. Then afterwards, I've gotten some beautiful questions for you. Okay, Virginia, over to you.
Okay. Well, thank you. I do feel like you did a great job of introducing me with your intriguing stories and everything.
Thank
So
you.
thank you for that. I'm here today as an experienced podcast manager. I have been running a podcast production agency since 2019, and our primary focus, yeah, I agree. The time flies by. Our primary focus is on shows by business owners who run a business, something having to do with finances. So a lot of my podcasters that I manage shows for, they could be financial professionals in some way, either on the business finance side or for personal money. So they could be a money coach, they could be a money therapist, they could be a financial advisor, but all kinds of professionals across the financial spectrum. And the reason I love managing those shows is because of the knowledge I get to absorb from not only them as a business owner in how they run their business and the way that they communicate with me, the way they run their schedules, the way they run their calendars, but also the content. I get to listen to all of this financial content and learn what they're teaching, and then also be in the position to be helping them get their voice out into the world. Because if you think about it, all of these professionals, their profession is running numbers. They are not going to be, knowledgeable about what type of microphone to use or your lighting or
That's
your recording studio. They don't even know that Riverside exists. And so that is my profession. And I'm able to get behind them and really help elevate their voices out into the world, because I think financial education is so important. And that also alludes to how I got here. I turned to financial podcasts between 10 and 15 years ago for help in my own situation. And the binge listening of those financial shows helped me learn how to manage our family's income and learn how to pay off debt, learn how to invest just from listening and taking the guidance they were sharing, thinking about how it would apply to my life, and then implementing that guidance. So that is how I came to love podcasting. That's how I came to appreciate the financial content that's being pushed out into the world. And that's why I do what I do today. See?
So how can podcasting attract clients and not just create content?
This is a really important thing to consider as a business owner. You don't want to be part of the noise, especially with all of the AI generated content that's out there that's not helpful. You don't want to be stuck there. So the important way to think about it is, as a business, what problems are my services solving for people? And what are the top questions that these people ask? And potentially, like every time you have a call or a sales call, or let's say if you had coffee with someone thinking about doing business, what are those questions that you're answering over and over and over again? Those are the perfect episodes to create content that's actually helpful, that's answering questions that your potential client has. And the biggest thing that people get from podcasts is that they get to tune in without fear of you hard selling them or trapping them in a conversation, right? It's a very easy access, free, open source media, right? And so you have the ability to show that you are a trustworthy person. You are a trustworthy business. You care about solving their problems. And when you speak to the questions you're getting most often and you're providing those solutions, that's where, as they listen, they're able to start building a feeling of trust with you. And that is truly the best way to approach podcasting as a business owner.
All right. So, what do you say to someone who thinks that they don't have time for a podcast?
Okay. Just like anything that would be really important to you, it does require you to make time. And that sounds harsh, but here's the strategy. You would need to look at your calendar, look at your schedule, and block off one day a month, at least one day, one whole day, where you are just in podcast mode. And prior to that day, you spend some time figuring out your topics, maybe use ChatGPT and you come up with your talking points, or you book your interviews. And when that day comes, if you're a woman, you got your makeup, your hair done, whatever position you're in, maybe you visit a studio, you clean your room, like whatever you need to do, you are ready to record. And that day is dedicated to the podcast. So if it's interviews that you're doing, you have your interviews stacked back to back to back, and that is all you're doing all day with a lunch break, of course, because you need a little bit of substance during the day. But just like if you wanted to do anything big in business, let's say you got invited to speak on stage, you would book travel, you would have a special outfit picked out, you would be away from your business for that day so that you could speak on stage. This is the same thing. You just have to dedicate that time and think of this like you're speaking on stage. Yes, I'm in my office alone. So is Elisha. However, we know that we are speaking to you, the listener out there. And I can't see you. And I don't know how many are out there, but I am still prepared to deliver a message and dedicated with this time with no distractions. That is how you need to treat your content for your business.
That's a beautiful one.
Thank you.
Wow. That's a smart one. Thank you so very much. Okay, so what about the other side? And by the other side, I mean for someone who hasn't even started yet, what would you say to them?
Yeah. So for some reason, before we start something that we feel is a big move, that is the scariest place to be. And that is because we don't know what is on the other side. Once we launch and we put our recorded voice out there, what's going to happen? What are they going to say? What are they going to think? What is my mom going to say? What is my neighbor going to say? And we have all these questions that spin inside of us. And the most important thought for you to have at that point is that this is for me and my business. There will be people that don't like what I'm doing. But the biggest and most important piece is that there will be people that I impact positively. And so for those people, I will move forward through any of the negativity or negative dislike type comments that I might get and all of the fear that I'm feeling right now. So to move forward might look like establishing those frequently asked questions that you get about your business or about your services, even if it's a tough topic to discuss, like how much does your service cost? Explain your pricing structure. Be really transparent with someone who might be buying your product or your service. People appreciate that transparency. So start to outline what you would say, what you want to talk about, and start practicing. Talk to yourself in the mirror in your bathroom and speak about your services in a way that you're comfortable, that you don't sound like a used car salesman, that you sound like yourself and you sound authentic and you can effectively convey why you care about providing these services. So when you start mapping out your topics, you start practicing talking about it, that's when you might explore an online studio like Riverside, or that's when you might buy a low cost microphone. I do not want you spending $500 on a microphone. Buy something that's under $100. Get a good enough setup to start with, and you can upgrade down the road when you have 1,000 listeners, 5,000, 10,000. You don't have to start big. So just start mapping that out, move through the fear. You will look back in a year of podcasting and look at your first few episodes and think that they're terrible. If you don't, you haven't grown. So you need to expect that growth and expect it to feel scary and hard and like you don't know what you're doing, because everybody feels that way. And if you don't feel that way, then you're overconfident, and we need to talk about that.
That's so true. Everybody feels that way. You see, it was just, I think, 2 days ago, 3 days ago, I went back to my first episode, and Virginia, I was like, was that me? Who is that?
Yeah.
I tell you, that's a lot of improvement, I tell you. And I started back then with just earphones. And just like what you said, that you don't have to start big. And I ought to have started since 2017, but I always thought I'll be needing these expensive stuffs, and so I kept on procrastinating and all. But until I started in 2021, and I just started with earphones, and now I've upgraded my gears, and now I have a microphone. So that's a very important part. And thank you for taking your time to explain that. That's a beautiful one. So we have two more to go. Okay. All right. So let's get personal a bit. So what client success story stands out to you? Got it?
Okay. I really want to highlight someone who came to me that was very similar to kind of like who we were talking about. They had a business. They're serving clients. They're really proud of their business. But this particular client was really actually afraid to get on video. She was so conscious about how she looked, the room, the way it was painted, the way it was set up, what was behind her, in her video. She was so conscious of all of these aesthetics. But when we started really getting down to it, I mean, she had so much knowledge, and that fear had been holding her back for at least 2 years. So as we walked through the process, I'm able to guide her through some confidence as far as, her content and the way she's delivering, how close you should be to your microphone, and all of these like minor details that made her think like, oh, okay, this isn't that scary. This isn't that bad. I do know what I'm talking about. I do have my expertise. And so she started recording. We talked about batch recording on that 1 day a month. That really helped her with her schedule. And she was able to map out her episode topics very easily because of all her years in business. She launched her show. We still did experience a little bit of struggle with her schedule of getting that consistency that people expect from a podcast. So we actually adjusted her strategy to where she was only producing a show once a month. And when she felt comfortable with once a month and we were able to do that consistently, then we moved to twice a month. So several months later, when she's comfortable with that, we add another one to the schedule, and we're able to scale up slowly. Now She has 2 podcasts,
Whoa.
has, yes,
Unbelievable.
she has written several books at this point as well. And she really, I just look at her brands now because now she has a couple of different brands going. And I remember that fearful, unconfident woman that first came to me. And just to see her blossom and bloom and if you think about it, to have 2 podcasts, to write a bunch of books,
I
to launch an
tell you.
entirely other brand. I mean, she just needed like a big confidence boost, right? And I'm
Yeah.
so glad we were able to work through that together. It's just one of
Such
those
a,
things that just touches your heart.
I tell you, such a beautiful story. Wow. And that shows how effective your approach is. You see, you're just so good at what you do. So
Thank you.
finally, Virginia, yeah, for folks who like to reach out to you, learn more about the beautiful stuff you're doing, or even ask you questions, or one way or another you're inspired, and they would love to reach out to you. How can that be possible?
Yeah. I am on LinkedIn. My name is Virginia Elder, right there on LinkedIn. You can also look up Podcast Abundance. My business website is podcastabundance.com. It's Podcast Abundance on Instagram. It's very easy to find me.
Beautiful. So that's going to be the end of the show, Virginia. Thank you for coming, and
Thank
thank you
you.
for sharing this beautiful stuff with us, and thank you for your patience and understanding. So that's
Thank
going to be
you.
the end of the show.
Thank you. I appreciate it.